Shalom, Shalom, and welcome. Welcome to End Times, Core 4, Transformation Cycles. My name is Symmanayah, and what I've introduced is a new series called End Times, Core 4, Transformation Cycles. There are 4 categories in End Times, Core 4, and those 4 categories are sacrifice, set apart, safety, and survival. Sacrifice, set apart, safety, and survival. These are words, are messages, are directed to those who are drawn by the Almighty Father Yahuah, to Yahusha Mashiach, who is indeed our teacher, our comforter, our sovereign, or some will say king, whom I believe will represent the leadership, the set apart spirit working in us, through us, one towards another, as we witness an awakening nation emerge. Yashar'al. I'm compelled to believe, yes, there will be 144,000 Hebrews or Abrim, along with a great multitude making up the remnant foretold in the scriptures in Revelation 7th chapter. I'm also compelled to believe within this great multitude will be both Hebrews and Gentiles. Gentiles meaning Goyim or other nations, together made one by Yahusha Mashiach. Before I go into this installment any further, I want you to know this. I consider you my brothers and my sisters if you indeed seek to do the will of the Almighty Father. I want you to know that I will build a series of 4 distinct playlists centered around sacrifice, set apart, safety, and survival, all under the grouping of End Time Core 4 Transformation Cycles. With that said, let's get started, my brothers and sisters. Let me begin by reading. This segment here is sacrifice, focus on sacrifice, and this is part 1 of the sacrifice grouping. So let us begin with Romans 12:1. It reads as follows. I'll call upon you, therefore, brothers, through the compassion of the Almighty One, to present your bodies a living offering, set apart, well-pleasing to the Almighty One, your reasonable worship. I also want to read some more, my brothers and sisters. First, that was Romans 12:1. 1 Corinthians 15:31. It reads as follows. I affirm by the boasting in you which I have in Messiah Yahusha, our master, I die day by day. My brothers and sisters, the most reasonable service we can do is to present ourselves as a living offering. Some versions will say a living sacrifice. And when Shaul talks about dying day by day, it's putting his ego, it's putting his rationale to the side and yielding to the spirit of Yahusha, leaning to the ways of the Almighty Father Yahuah. And in doing so, his flesh is put into check. And therefore he say, I die day by day. That was 1 Corinthians 15:31. Romans 8:1 said, there is then now no condemnation to those who are in Messiah Yahusha, who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. We will learn, O Yasharal, that we have been programmed, we have been taught, we have been conditioned the ways of our current environment. Whatever country, whatever geographical boundaries we're in, we've been influenced by such, and as well as the media. And I say to you, deep within us is the inner man, that inner spirit that is joined with the Almighty Father through Yahusha Mashiach. And I say this is whom we shall walk after according to the spirit of set apartness, according to the spirit of Yahusha. 1 Corinthians 15:50 read, in this I say, brothers, that flesh and blood is unable to inherit the reign of the Almighty One, neither does corruption inherit incorruption. You see, my brothers and sisters, there is a transformation that will indeed take place. Many of us fail to realize that in the future, our future, after the physical death or after the physical transformation, many people don't realize that we will no longer have these earthen vessels as we are so accustomed to dwelling within. We will come to realize, my brothers and sisters, that we don't know exactly how we will appear, but we know when we see the Mashiach upon his physical return, after Judgment Day, we will learn what that transformation will be. You see, our spirits will indeed last forever. And we who are set apart by the Almighty Father will be forever with Yahushua HaMashiach. Let us be mindful of 1 John 3:2. 1 John 3:2, it says, "Beloved ones, now we are the children of the Almighty One. It has not yet been revealed what we shall be, but we know that when he is revealed, we shall be like him, and we shall see him as he is." A transformation, ultimate transformation will come when we put off the corruptible. Are we aware that these bodies will return back to the earth? Let me also read, my brothers and sisters, Matthew 16:25. It says, "For whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake shall find it." You see, my brothers and sisters, end times will become fierce. There are some challenges ahead. There are some extreme transformation ahead, my brothers and sisters. And as we walk in the Spirit, in whatsoever state and condition we find ourselves, let us look to the Most High Father, Abba Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha. Let me also read Matthew 19:29. "And everyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life." Does that describe sacrifice? To leave your house, to leave brother, sister, father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands for Yahusha's name? Sacrifice, my brothers and sisters. Either we believe the scriptures to be true or we don't. Either way, it does not negate nor nullify what is real. There are those who are called by the Almighty Father, those who are drawn by him to Yahushua HaMashiach, and we will find situations where we will see the life in Matthew 19:29, where people will leave house, brother, father, sister, mother, wife, or even children or land. Forced migrations are coming. End times will bring about the most challenging of times. Sacrifice. Do not think for a moment that we will not be making sacrifices. John 6:47 says, "Truly, truly I say unto you, he who believes in me possesses everlasting life." Everlasting life. I want to say to you, my brothers and sisters, that we have a much longer and much more filling life ahead of us beyond these earthen vessels. It is if we can and when we do embrace the realities of what I just said, it will add a little bit of strength as we go through these end time transformations, as we are refined, as we are persecuted, as we find brothers, some of us being killed for Yahushua's name. We'll be able to go through knowing that there's much more to our existence than these earthen vessels. Do we not agree that we have entered end times? Do we not agree that end times will bring much death and destruction across the planet? Do we not agree that the Most High has promised that there will be those he will gather from the four corners of the earth for his esteem? Who among us is aware of the life in the scriptures that speak of Abba Yahuah gathering his children from the four corners of the earth? There are several passages that reflect to a set-apart awakening nation being gathered back to the promised land. But I want to share one specifically, Isaiah 11:12. "And he shall raise a banner for the nations and gather the outcasts of Yashar'al and assemble the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth." I say to you, O Yashar'al, in movement. This requires movement. This requires an exodus. This will prove to require sacrifices. Sacrifices leaving people and things behind. We will witness, O Yashar'al, movement will come. And let me ask you, when you read these things about being gathered, do we actually think that end times will come without making sacrifices? Movement is ahead, O Yashar'al. It is time for us to wake up and begin to talk about what is necessary in our movement. It will not happen in the blink of an eye. It will not happen overnight. But Yashar'al will be gathered. And I believe we will witness a gathering like man has never seen before on this planet. First of all, there have never been as many people on this planet as it is today. Set apart Yashar'al, oh brothers and sisters. There will be chosen leaders that will provide instructions and be used to execute set-apart judgment as they are led by the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name. My brothers and sisters, this series, End Times Core 4 Transformation Cycles, will prove to provide information in preparation of what is to come and what will be done. Not what might be done, what will be done. You see, my brothers and sisters, if we believe the scriptures, if we believe, and I do, and I think those who are drawn will and do, then we must know that in movement and forced transition, we must know in going from one point to the next until we reach that set apart mountain of the Most High, that this will require sacrifices. This will require a transformation. We must and we will learn to adapt and adjust. There can be no unity without sacrifice. It is impossible to serve Abba Yahuah, the Almighty One, without sacrifice. It is impossible to follow and guard the laws, statutes, and 10 Commandments without sacrifice. Now is the time to begin discussing how sacrifice is something that cannot be avoided among those who are called to fulfill specific tasks, especially the final Exodus, martyrdom for Yahusha's name's sake, and so much more. Yashar'al, O Yasharal, we will discover that the Most High Father will not be asking our permission to use us. He will order our footsteps. We will face the extreme of humbling times, and we will yield to him. For the prophecies and the promises that are written does not say if and maybe. They tell us what will come to be. And there will be individuals among us who will realize that our footsteps are indeed ordered by the Almighty Father, that our flesh will be brought into subjection. We will face the discipline and all that is necessary to refine us to fulfill what is expected of us. Yashar'al, O Yasharal, I speak often of Hebrews 12th chapter and Revelation 3:19. Let us begin to ask ourselves, what is the process of discipline? What does that look like? What are the characteristics of discipline? Who will be used to execute discipline and render refinement? I say to you, it would be you in the mirror. It would be me in the mirror. It would be us one towards another. It would be through his chosen leaders who will execute all that is necessary for an awakening nation to come together in unity. Who is able to say with confidence what the results of discipline will produce? I say this with confidence. Every set apart child of the Spirit of the Almighty Father, led by Yahusha HaMashiach, we will discern the specific tasks and duties that must be fulfilled. We will grow in discerning how serious times are becoming. I am compelled to believe in our sacrifice. We will begin to recognize that it is our inward man that will receive life everlasting, while the earthen vessels will return to the earth, as it is written. Who is able to discern what is said in Ecclesiastes 3rd chapter, verse 20 and 21? It reads as follows: all are going to one place, all came from the dust, and all return to the dust. Who knows the spirit of the sons of men, which goes upward, and the spirit of the beast, which goes down to the earth? My brothers and sisters, discern the life in this, for these earthen vessels will return back to the dust. We will soon realize how fragile and how limited these earthen vessels are as we know it. We will begin to realize what's most important is our spirit, joined with the spirit of the Almighty Father Yahuah, our spirit, for that is the thing that will be with Yahusha HaMashiach for everlasting to everlasting. Yes, these earthen vessels have significance. They have importance, for they right now are indeed the vessels that the Most High dwell within. Our inward man dwell within. They have a purpose, and we will face pain and stress. We will grow to know how to withstand the experiences, how to have the strength to press on into Yahusha HaMashiach, knowing that our final days will be with the Almighty Father. I cannot stress enough, our egos, our mental and physical state will be tested and challenged. All of ours will face that challenge. For the flesh warring against the spirit will war against our spirits like we can never have imagined. But trust the words and promises of our Almighty Father Yahuah. He will discipline. He will refine his children, O Yasharal. There will be people and things removed from us There will be times we will come away. There will be times we will meet strangers who are also being drawn by Abba Yahuah to Yahusha Mashiach. We will find ourselves gathering, O Yashar'al. Be encouraged, my brothers and sisters. There will be those among us, we will die for Yahusha's name's sake. We will be persecuted. There will be those of us who will die for various other reasons. But know this, the plan of the Most High is coming to a wrap as we know it, is coming to an end as we know it in these earthen vessels. Our redemption truly draws near. I invite you, O Yasharal, I invite you to examine the words that I present in this series, to discuss the realities of what is ahead regarding sacrifice. How do we manage the pain of walking away from a loved one? How do we manage the stress of change? How do we adapt and adjust? How do we focus forward on the Most High's plan, knowing that it will come to be, not a maybe, not a might, and it is definitely unfolding. My brothers and sisters, I will introduce more information, more messages regarding sacrifice, along with the other three components of End Times Core 4, which are set apart, safety, and survival. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, sacrifice. Let us rise up and be ready, for there will be many sacrifices ahead. To the Almighty Father Yahuah be the praise and esteem in Yahusha's name. We will worship him. Indeed, we will. Until next time, I invite your conversations, your discussions, your questions, your fellowships. I know it is not about me, my brothers and sisters. It is, however, about worshiping and obeying the Almighty Father Yahuah, which we will discover requires us interacting with one another, assembling together in set apartness. I say again, without sacrifice, it would be most difficult to please he who is the Almighty One. So let us rise up, my brothers and sisters. Let us gird up and be prepared to walk in the fullness of his Spirit. Let us seek to walk in obedience each day. And let us prepare to embrace the need to make sacrifices and embrace the will of the Almighty Father Yahuah in Yahusha's name. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, my name is Symmanayah. Stay tuned, as much more will come as the Most High sees fit. In Yahusha's name, I bid you, Shalum, Shalom, Shalom.